At this point, a fight scene is like Dwayne Johnson. It feels like it's in every movie. They're in every major blockbuster, and they're an easy way to keep people entertained. If you're one of those snooty people that thinks action is stupid and for the simple minded, then just close the video now because I don't like you anyway. For the rest of you, I'm sure you're like me and enjoy a really good fight scene. But what makes a fight scene great? To answer this question, let's look at two that are visually different but fantastic in their own right. The hall scene from Oldboy and the church scene from Kingsman Secret Service. They both utilize their character background to further the storytelling, Daesu's struggle, and Harry's expertise. So let's look at how the filmmakers make these fight scenes an effective part of the storytelling. First, they keep the main protagonist in focus. In Kingsman, this is signified by Harry's sudden turn from a dignified and collected gentleman to a merciless killing machine. The purpose of this scene is to show how Valentine's devices turn people into savages with no remorse. What better way to do that than turn a character the audience has grown attached to? This exact moment is even in slow motion with the increasing beep of the signal so it can properly resonate with the audience. In Oldboy, this is signified when Daesu walks out and sees all the men blocking his exit. Why? You don't torture a prison warden and just get away with it. The succeeding shots purposely show how many men stand in his way and the daunting length of the hallway. Both scenes continue to keep their protagonists in focus by following them throughout the fight. In Kingsman, the camera physically follows Harry as he moves around the arena, even mimicking some of his specific movements and hits. In Oldboy, the camera simply moves down the hall as Daesu does, with his body language distinguishing him from his attackers. He's also positioned so that he never blends into the blob composed of his adversaries. From here, we see the differences between these two scenes. The church scene has a much faster pace with quick camera movements that emphasize the chaos of the arena. This is made more apparent with the intercuts of the other characters reacting to what's going on. What the camera movements also emphasize is Harry's skill as a top Kingsman agent. Notice anyone he takes down or defends himself against doesn't come into frame until right before he deals with them. This makes his actions feel like they are an instinct to him because the audience isn't aware of the threat. He doesn't have to think about it, he simply reacts to what he sees and takes action. Daesu is not experienced in fighting as he spent the past 15 years in a single room. This fight is more about his struggle. As a result, the scene acts as a short underdog story. In one frame, we get a scope of what Daesu is up against. It's him versus a lot of guys. The scene has a midpoint of false defeat and a conclusion when he reaches the end of the hall. The scene's set up so the audience can visually track his progress. His objective is to get from left to right, and the camera illustrates this. In addition to the camera physically moving the audience down the hall with Daesu, we can see how close we are to the end by how many men are still left standing. Throughout this long single take, we can feel Daesu's struggle as he is beaten down and has to find the physical strength to get back up. This aspect was lost in the 2013 remake. In the same respective scene, there isn't the same sense of struggle and progress. White Daesu easily takes down all his assailants, so there's never a moment the audience doubts he'll win. The camera moves down, which visually doesn't give the same sense of progress as moving up or to the right. Finally, there are new opponents on each level, so we don't get to see who he's taken down versus who's still standing. The church scene, on the other hand, is directionless because it's all about the chaos. Harry has no specific goal except to kill everyone, so he, along with the camera, just move to the next person. The scene is styled for the specific moment in the film. We can compare this to the final battle in the film's sequel. They are styled very similarly, but this scene has an actual objective. Harry and Eggsy want to release the cure, and Whiskey wants to stop them. Both of their objectives are in the form of this suitcase that's brought to the audience's attention at the beginning. The same fast-paced, sporadic feeling isn't as effective for this scene because there's an actual object of focus that the camera and action doesn't acknowledge. The scene misses a prime opportunity for extra drama and tension. One thing all the scenes mentioned do is utilize well-planned choreography. In neither scene can you look around and see people doing nothing. Everyone's either taking action or anticipating the next move. Some filmmakers get lazy with this and just have movement in the frame, but it's either not deliberate or has no function within the scene. I realize the two scenes I selected to focus on are both shot in one take, or at least edited to look like it. I don't mean to say or imply long takes are the only right way to shoot a fight scene. There are certainly ways to do it with quick cuts, but it's gotten a bit of a bad rep recently. I think that's because in modern Western cinema, quick cuts and fight scenes are used less for storytelling and more as a solution to a problem. In most Hollywood productions, fight scenes aren't done by actors. They're done by stunt doubles, and the hits aren't real. This adds an obstacle to filmmakers as they must do their best to hide those facts as much as they can. You'd be taken out of the story a bit if you realize that's not Chris Evans. It feels like the quick cuts are used to cover this up as much as possible, but it can easily disorient the audience in addition to having less of an impact because the cuts can cover up some hits. It's completely understandable why studios would choose to enforce the use of stunt doubles. The star of a movie is valuable, and if they get injured, it could derail production. This is why certain actors can be action stars. In addition to being able to embody a capable hero, the actors who are actually able to do their own stunts and fight scenes give the other filmmakers on the project more flexibility in how the scene is planned, shot, and edited, often resulting in something more entertaining. The church scene has become iconic, garnering its own fans and parodies pretty much since the film's release. While Oldboy is less recognizable to the average American filmgoer, the hall scene has been well respected among film buffs and various filmmakers, even inspiring some works such as Daredevil on Netflix. There are many ways to make a great fight scene, but it's not just a bunch of punches and smack sounds. They must do what every other scene in the film is supposed to do: tell a story.